Welcome to Pixarize's scene for vitamin B3, or niacin, part of our series on the vitamins. This scene will cover the function and general biochemistry of vitamin B3, and it takes place in a grassy knoll of sorts near a private pool. Looks like some horrible teenage miscreants are making a ruckus. Let's investigate. We'll start with the first horrible teenager. I'm going to call him Dirk. That has nothing to do with vitamins, the dude just screams Dirk to me. So we see that Dirk is pulling a classic Dirk move and tossing big sharp knives into the trees just for the sweet thrill of it. He's even upped the edge factor by aiming at trees that are swarming with bees. So why is he doing this? Well, all the girls dig his nihilist streak. But more importantly, these are going to be our symbols for vitamin B3 and niacin. The knives represent niacin, or niacin, and the B trees will represent B3, since trees are Pixarize's symbol for the number 3. Niacin getting stuck in a B tree. That'll do, Dirk. That'll do. Now on to Dirk's sidekick. We'll call him Kurt. Again, the names are irrelevant, he's just not quite Dirk level, so he's Kurt. Kurt has always been in Dirk's shadow and has tried really hard to make up for it. Of course, trying that hard is loserly, but Kurt doesn't know better. Here we can see that he's gotten his hands on Dad's cigars and his dad's pipe, and he's trying to light them both at the same time. He'll look back on these days and cringe. All this nicotine will help us remember nicotinamide, since B3 is most importantly a constituent of two vital nicotinamide-containing molecules. These are NAD+, or nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide, and NADP+, or nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide phosphate, both of which are used in a host of redox reactions you can read all about in your free time. That's what medical students do in their free time, right? In any case, the cigar being puffed on by our hapless Kurt will help you remember NAD+, and the pipe will help you remember NADP+. P for pipe, of course. Got it? Great. Onward. Now take a look in the corner near the B3B tree that the niacin knives are being tossed into. See this hippy-dippy tree hugger camping out beneath the tree? She seems unamused by Dirk's antics, and she might be forced to intervene if this keeps up. But right now, she's going to help teach us about niacin synthesis instead. Vitamin B3 can be acquired in the diet, but it also can be synthesized by the liver from a few basic building blocks. The first building block is the essential amino acid tryptophan. See our hippie's wackadoo portable fan blowing her greasy, unwashed hair? This trippy fan is our recurring symbol for tryptophan. Tryptophan, tryptophan. Groovy. Before we move on, it's worth mentioning that conditions leading to a tryptophan deficiency can also cause a niacin deficiency, since we need tryptophan to make niacin. Some important causes of tryptophan deficiency that we'll cover more thoroughly in future scenes include Hartnupp's disease, a congenital disorder affecting the cellular tryptophan transporter, and carcinoid syndrome, which occurs when a neoplastic lesion uses tryptophan to synthesize massive amounts of serotonin, depleting the tryptophan stores. Now, on to our hippie's meal. Looks like a big plate of ribs. Wait, an electric fan, an enormous plate of ribs? Not very one with nature, if you ask me. Anyway, do you recognize this symbol? Yep. It's our rib-flavored sauce from our scene for vitamin B2, or riboflavin. Rib-flavor riboflavin is also required for the synthesis of niacin. And now for the most important component of the reaction. Take a look at our hippie's makeshift shelter. Seems like she took a bunch of sticks and made a little pyramid. That's quaint. This stick pyramid is going to help us remember that the final requirement for the endogenous synthesis of niacin is vitamin B6, or pyridoxine. The sticks are also surrounded by the bees in the trees. B sticks, B6. And that's how you make niacin. Add a little trippy fan tryptophan, some rib flavor riboflavin, and a dash of B stick pyramid pyridoxine, and voila, you've got niacin. Yum. Just like how tryptophan deficiency can cause B3 deficiency, anything that causes vitamin B6 deficiency will also cause a B3 deficiency. One of these causes of vitamin B6 deficiency that exam writers frequently ask about is isoniazid treatment for tuberculosis. Isoniazid competes for B6 binding sites in the cell and can present as a B6 and B3 deficiency. B6 will get its own scene, but for now, just remember that the stick pyramid represents pyridoxine, and the B sticks represent vitamin B6. Finally, let's take a look to the left of our big B tree. We're almost done, we just need to talk about an important clinical use for niacin. Vitamin B3 is often prescribed to patients with dyslipidemia because it lowers VLDL, bad cholesterol, and raises levels of HDL, or good cholesterol. It lowers VLDL by decreasing its secretion by the liver, and it increases HDL by inhibiting a receptor responsible for its removal by the liver. Getting back to our image, it looks like Kurt and Dirk have been raising so much hell that they've disturbed some nearby pool goers. They've been throwing their niacin knives at those helpless life preserver balloons, Pixarize's recurring symbol for low-density lipoprotein, representing the fall in LDL levels in response to niacin. That has made this elderly swimmer quite upset, and he's raising and waving his metal life preserver, Pixarize's recurring symbol for high-density lipoprotein, in anger. This should remind us of the raised levels of HDL in response to niacin. Alright, all done. We've made it through a scene rife with wanton disregard for society's rules. First, we saw Dirk's rebellious knife throwing, which reminded us of niacin, and Kurt's new chain-smoking habit, which represented nicotinamide's NAD+ and NADP+ forms. Then we observed our hippie in her quest to leave society altogether, which represented the materials required for niacin synthesis, the pyridoxine pyramid of sticks cooled by a trippy tryptophan fan, and her riboflavin-flavored short stack. Finally, we had our old rule enforcer holding up his high-density lipoprotein life preserver and protecting his quickly disappearing low-density lipoprotein life preserver balloons. Dang hippies, dang teenagers, get off this guy's lawn. Hopefully, all the knife throwing doesn't scare you away from our next scene on vitamin B3 deficiencies. See you there!